Mack Rides is the oldest amusement ride manufacturer. The company has been going since 1780, and they're still out there making brand new massive roller coasters every year. Most of what they do nowadays is multi-inversion launch coasters, but since the company is so old, they have way more than just that. They have water coasters, hypercoasters, spinning coasters, extreme spinning coasters, wild mice, and a bunch of other stuff. Some of their most well-known coasters would be Copperhead Strike at Carowinds, Helix at Liseberg, DC Rivals Hypercoaster at Warner Bros. Movie World, Blue Fire at Europa Park, Time Traveler at Silver Dollar City, and a lot more. Something you may have noticed is that most of these coasters are not in the US, and while European coasters are something that I could make a whole video about, that's not what this video is about. By the way, I think most European coasters look really bad. Like I was saying though, Mack Rides is one of the largest amusement ride manufacturers around, but unlike RMC, Intamin, and B&M, I really don't like Mack Rides, and in this video I'm going to explain why. I know that there are probably some European coaster enthusiasts watching this video who love riding Helix and Icon, so I guess all I have to say to you guys is, well, you might not like this video. Jokes aside though, I think that I have some legitimate reasons to not like this company, so let's get into the video.
Arms in, head back, hold on.
A minute ago, when I was listing some of the most well-known Mack Rides coasters, you may have noticed that none of these coasters were built before 2009, and you may be thinking, what's the problem with that? Well, let me rewind to the very start of the video. Mack Rides is the oldest amusement ride manufacturer. The company has been going since 1780. 1780. That is 240 years ago. It took this company over 200 years to make their first big coaster, which was Blue Fire at Europa Park. Now, I understand that making amusement rides isn't what Mack Rides started out doing, and even before they built their first big coaster, they did make smaller coasters and also owned and operated Europa Park, which is one of the largest parks in all of Europe. But for a company this old, who's been in the industry for nearly 100 years, they should have made their first big coaster a while before 2009. Alright, now I'll be fair, Blue Fire does look like a fun ride. It's really the coaster that brought the company success, and I think that despite it being kind of short, it does have some really decent elements, like the horseshoe roll, which is also an element on my #1 coaster, so obviously I'm going to like it. Another plus of Blue Fire and all of its clones, which there are a lot of by the way, is that their launch pulls at least a little bit of force, which leads me to my next point. These Mack coasters are forceless. Look at the acceleration on a coaster like Copperhead Strike, or Capital Bullet Train, or Helix, or Icon, or Operation Enterprise, or Time Traveler, or literally any other Mack launch besides the Blue Fire clones. I even made a video about this, which ended up being the most viewed video on my channel by a lot. Since I posted that video, I've received a lot of comments saying things like, oh, this is not accurate, and oh, you're so stupid. And one in particular saying how the acceleration of the launch is up to the park that buys it, and most parks just don't want to spend the money on a fast launch. And well, I do understand that. Here's the thing. Why would it cost so much to make an intense LSM launch? Well, it doesn't. Look at really any Premier Rides, Intamin, or even Maurer launch, and tell me that that isn't intense. Sure, it's not the most intense, but it still pulls way more force than this. Staying on this topic, I want to go to my next point. Mack Rides coasters are expensive. Well, their thrill coasters are. I know that a wild mouse or a small spinner isn't going to cost that much, but for a major thrill coaster, a park is going to have to spend an absolute fortune to get something good. Take Copperhead Strike at Carowinds, for example. This coaster was the park's biggest investment ever, and look at it. It has a forceless launch, it's slow, it's pretty small scale too. Compare that to Fury 325 in the whole renovation of the park's front entrance, and you start to wonder, is Copperhead Strike really a bigger investment than that? Well, according to the park, it is. Something else I hate is that Mack Rides really lacks good coasters. Sure, all of their launch coasters look fine, and all their spinning coasters are probably decent, but as far as standout coasters, there are only like 8, which isn't a very good number considering that the company has manufactured around 150 different roller coasters. The 8 in particular that I'm talking about are DC Rivals, Time Traveler, Ride to Happiness, the 2 Hypercoaster clones, Helix, and then the 2 Big Dippers. Like I said, they have some other coasters that look fine, but nothing else looks to be too amazing. Now, let me sum this all up. Mack Rides is bad for 4 main reasons. Number 1, they're slow, and it took them over 100 years to make a good coaster. Number 2, their coasters are sold for way more than they could possibly be worth. They can sell a Little Force's launch coaster for more than B&M can sell a 325-foot tall Giga. Number 3, most of their coasters don't pull that much force, especially in their launches. And number 4, as a company, they lack good standout coasters, with really only 7 or 8 great ones out of the 150 that they've manufactured. So take all my ranting as you will, but now to finish off the video, I'm going to list a few positives of Mack Rides. First of all, Mack Rides tend to be very reliable. I suppose looking back at it, this could be part of the reason for their ridiculous price tag. Like I was saying though, from what I've heard, Mack Rides don't usually tend to experience that much downtime. So there's a major plus for a park that's willing to buy one. Another positive of Mack Rides is their insane variety of coasters. They seriously have pretty much any coaster that you could want, whether it be a water coaster, a wild mouse, a spinner, a launch coaster, a hypercoaster, or even something like the Big Dipper model, which isn't really that similar to anything else out there. This is something that really helps Mack Rides out, as it puts them in the market for pretty much anything, so no matter what a park wants, Mack Rides will always be an option for them. That being said, I still kind of hate Mack Rides, and if you have a different opinion than me, then make sure to put it in the comments down below because I'd love to hear it. Also, make sure to leave a like on the video and also subscribe to the channel because all those things would be greatly appreciated, and I'm actually really close to hitting 300 subs, so anything that you could do to help me out would be amazing. Anyways, this is 07 Coasters signing off.